And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I got a doozy of a game to talk about, and that is Daedalus Sentence. Yes, this is the size of the box. You can see that this is a huge box. I'm not going to be fitting it on any of these shelves anytime soon, and even if I could fit it all the way onto one of these shelves, it would stick off. That's how huge this box is. I first saw this at the Gamma Trade Show. They were showing the board, which was an interesting board because it is a board where there's sliding sections, which is very interesting. See this board here? And miniatures, a cooperative game. It was a very expensive. The Kickstarter, I believe, was $95. They said it's going to retail for $150. So this is a big game. Does it measure up? Now you'll notice this is a board. It's a very big board here that's going to be made up of rings. These pieces are going to be put in randomly. There's a couple of pieces that are excluded. There's like some optional pieces. Each piece has a mark on them so that you know that those have the possibility. And you mix those up and some of those will be removed because some pieces need to remain in these circles. Each player starts in their holding cell that matches their color. And players are going to get a certain number of cubes each turn to use as actions. And this game kind of has a free-flowing methodology to it, where players are going to take different actions, and they can take them in different order. And many times your action is going to be revealing a tile that's next to you. So I might reveal this tile and look at it. And you can also move through a door. So there's a door in your initial cell. But after that, you're going to have to reveal and find basically the door to get down to the next level. Now, the doors to each level are numbered, and when you find a door, that door is going to have like a lock on it. So you'll draw 3 cards from this deck, and this shows that I need 2 Minotaur cards and then a 1 or any other color card. And when players have those 3 cards simultaneously, they're spending an action, they can open that. And each of these keys will have kind of a locked icon that you'll put down there with these cards until that key has gone through. So let's say, for example, I drew these 3 cards. I would need either 2 yellows and a green, the colors, to open the lock, or 2 2s and a 1, the numbers, to open that lock. Each room that players will go into also has different special abilities. There's a chart here that shows communications relay, hatchery, control room, research lab, gates, ventilation ducts. You can climb through one of those to another one. When you go to different rooms, you can, again, do different things. And unfortunately, you would think that this big room thing would tell you what you could do in each of the rooms, but it doesn't. I'm really kind of surprised at that. You actually have to pull up the rule book and remember what each of the rooms does. So some of these you can rotate the hive. Some of these you can hide in a room. Some of them you can draw more cards when you're in that room. Normally you can spend 2 actions to draw a card, so you want to go find a room where there's fewer actions. Now occasionally you're going to open up a room that's going to have this evil looking nasty symbol on it, and Minotaurs are going to show up. Now you don't want Minotaurs to catch you. Minotaurs are going to be moving around and moving through the building. There's going to be different Minotaurs, and there's also the bigger, eviler version of these guys, these scientists. And if they catch you, they're going to send you back. Now, you don't want to do that for a couple reasons. One, you don't want to go back to prison and have to escape again. But each player has a special power that matches their character. And so these are the different players. But when you are captured, for example, his maximum hand size is 2 larger than maximum. This guy here, he can move past guards. This person here can kill 3 Minotaurs with 1 card. So, but when you're captured, then the bad guys basically have the ability. When, for example, when she's captured, you can't activate control room location and manipulate the rotation. We can't do that anymore. When Baxter is captured, players can't activate the research labs anymore. When Morrow's captured, players can't activate the communication. When this guy is captured, there's going to be an extra Minotaur spawned every turn. Now, these Minotaurs can be killed. You can play one of these cards to kill one that's in your spot or an adjacent spot. You can play one of these scientist cards to kill 3 of them, actually, or you can play one of these to kill a scientist. So you're going to be trying to get rid of these. And like I said, you're going to be trying to go down different levels, and you eventually will get through the gates, and you're going down to the bottom level and trying to find the final gate which will release you. And there might be multiple gates per the levels. However, if you notice over here, there's a board, and this is the alert level. And this alert level will go up each time that players get to another ring. And the top level shows you what ring is going to rotate and how far it's going to rotate. So for example, this one here rotates 3 counterclockwise. So I just go 1, 2, 3. The bottom one shows you how the guards will move. So all the guards in green are going to move 1 counterclockwise. So if there had been a guard down there, they'll move. And you'll go through this. This one will move all the rings. This will spawn more Minotaurs who are going to come after everybody. So that is essentially basically the game. Players are going to be trying to escape from prison, working together to get everybody out of the prison without being captured by these. And as they go down farther, there's going to be more and more spinning and more people coming after you. You'll be getting cards from this deck, and as these are activated, the cards will be moving over and new cards will be coming out. And players are going to try their best to manipulate these cards and manipulate the system so that it doesn't hurt them as badly. Now, the game comes with a whole pile of ways to make the game harder. You can also play it solo. You can, for one, you can have somebody play as the bad guy, as the hive commander. They can go up against other people. But there are many other ways in which you can enhance the difficulty of the game. And they're called difficulty enhancers. And I believe there are 7 different ones with dice and different things on the cards. So if you want to make the game more difficult and find that it's too easy to get out, there are various ways that include weird, funky dice. There's some dice that are included with the game. So you can see these dice here. And just, you know, making life basically more difficult. But the core concept is going to stay the same. You're in these rotating areas, trying to move, go through, do different actions, and eventually escape. The thing about this game is, and I said this at the beginning, is that it needs to feel like it's worth this, right? Because we are at an age now where games are big, they're expensive, and I certainly understand that some games are worth that. And the question here is Daedalus Sentence worth this? Because there's, you know, a game, I don't normally like to talk about price point too much in a game, but I have to when I think it's fairly expensive, and you get what you know, whether it's the gameplay value or the components. And unfortunately, in the case of this game, I don't think you get either one of those. That's not to say Daedalus Sentence is a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game. It's just not a $100 game. First of all, for me, hands down, the size of this box is a deal breaker. This is ridiculous. It just makes me mad talking about this. This is stupidically sized. This is bigger than a large pizza. It's not going to fit on most people's shelves. It's not going to, it's hard to carry around. And it's wasted, okay? This is the insert that comes in this game. You have to carefully place everything in this insert, and then you realize that the boards don't fit in properly. So you take the insert out, slide the boards underneath, put the other boards on top, because there's this plastic piece that holds everything in place. That's kind of neat, but look at these corners here. Total wasted space. The whole thing, and the board itself. This board could have been smaller. It doesn't have to be this giant of a board. And so there's this big, massive, overblown, but it doesn't feel like a big, massive, overblown production. That, with these plastic miniatures, are you kidding me? These plastic miniatures are pretty poorly done, especially the heroes. And it's going to be hard for you to maybe see the level of detail because it's not there, but just look at those. Ugh. And the art for the heroes isn't that great either. So it's just kind of a mess production-wise, which I might overlook somewhat for a $30 game. It's not that. Okay, you say, Vasel, get off this. Let's talk about the game itself. The gameplay itself is okay, right? You're trying to get out there. These Minotaurs, they walk around. The Minotaurs are kind of stupid. They'll stay in the same ring, but these scientists are smarter. They will come through the gates and they'll come after you and you have to work together. But even that's a little bit muddied. First of all, this whole moving the circular board, that's kind of fascinating to some degree, but it's not the first time we've seen this. We've seen the Room 25. I actually have that on my shelf behind me, where you're sliding around the different cubes, and this has that same kind of cube feeling to it. You know, let's get out of here, let's get out of this prison. Although it's kind of weird thematically, the guards capture you, throw you back in prison, you escape, they capture you, throw you back in prison, you think after a while they would just shoot you. Or at least station some guards right outside your door. But it's a real big mess to play because they're like, oh, free form, anyone can go anytime they want. People are like, oh, wait, I still have an action, I'll use this action, wait, let me use this action. And it just, the lack of structure is problematic. Not to mention, as I was going over the overview, how many times you have to look this up and you say, no, you should know. I can't really tell the difference between all these things. I'm like, oh, I think this is a control arm, or is it a communications relay? So, like, look, for example, there's the one and there's the other. Now, when I'm sitting here looking at them together in the book, I can remember that. But when I turn one over and I'm like, ooh, okay, what is this? What does that do again? And then they have these huge boards that don't tell you what to do. Couldn't they just put draw 2 cards underneath it? How would that have been hard? They do have this detailed play summary in the back. Man, I'm really coming down in this game, we live in a day where there are amazing cooperative games, and I have tons of them. I love cooperative games. Watch my top 100. There are a lot of cooperative games in it, but these are not in that. This is not in that mix. This is just a boring-ish game. Yeah, the guy's coming after you, but you know what? When you get to that bottom level, and you're going through 4 turns of the wheel and 4 movement of the guards, you really have to sit there and think for a long time. Okay, that's going to move 3, then it's going to move 2, then that guard's going to move, and that guard's going to move, and then the wheel's going to come back. Really? I mean, you might have an idiot savant in your group who can figure all that stuff out for you, but we were always like, well, I hope they don't catch us. And then the game's like, oh, and you didn't think that was hard? Here's 7 different things. And the rule book keeps talking about these other things as you're going through. They're like, do this, do this, do this. Oh, by the way, if you're playing with this, do this. And if you're playing with that, stop talking about that other stuff. Just give me the basic rules. I'm tired of games being overblown. I don't mind cool miniatures. And if this game had come with beautiful miniatures, I've been fine. If they had been beautiful miniatures, they're not. I don't care if the board is really cool. This is just a big black circle. Now, I will say that when you put these pieces in here, they sure do spin around pretty easily. I do like that. I do like the movement idea. I like the codes. I like breaking the code to get out. The fighting is okay. The special abilities are okay. The fact that one person play the bad guys is okay. Although, like Pandemic and many other games, we don't need someone helping the bad guys. We just want to work together to get out. So I'm not recommending this one. And had it been 30, I would have given it a 6 out of 10. A $30 game, I would have given it a 6 out of 10. But because it costs so much money, I expect a lot more. And instead of a lot more, I got something that is below average. And I can't recommend that. Dice Tower Judgment, too much for too little.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com. Shut the door.